Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3. Let's get some more. Have your hands. Some more. Just give some more.
Well, hello, and welcome to My Whiskey Den, your favorite public access whiskey review show where craft whiskey is king. Tonight, we are weddaless and wadeless, so we have neither of them. Mitch is driving back across country with a boatload of bottles. Well, a trailer full would be the correct answer for that. And Morgan is maybe trying to find him a hotel room for the evening as he travels the country for getting back home. So they're having a wonderfully fun evening. But they're closing on homes, so I think it's going in the right direction. So congratulations to them. And Mike, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing okay. I'm just answering the chat here. Yeah,
Shannon's on time. Oh, cheers everyone out there. Thanks for being on time as well, too.
Shannon's always on time. She's like a wizard. She gets there precisely when she means to.
I think that's accurate. But do you want to tell people about the Bar Cart Co-op before we go on with our evening?
Bar Cart Co-op.
I'm trying to hydrate.
That's all right. We are proud members of the Bar Cart Co-op, which is a collection of friends who create content for the whiskey and other distilled spirits public. The Bar Cart Co-op YouTube and Facebook pages have information about upcoming and past special shows, which happen about every quarter. There have been blind tastings, distiller panels, discussions of special collaborations, and the usage of unique grains. The Bar Cart Co-op has educational and fun episodes for your enjoyment, including the episode from last week, which was an historical episode. Please go check it out. There was a lot of really sweet history, especially about the George Washington Distillery at Mount Vernon. It's pretty darn cool. Technical issues by Mr. Eric Wolf aside, as he called it, his Amish internet. It was very good. So please check that out. Then we have the Distiller's Talk, which is the oldest show in the group, hosted by Miss Christy Atkinson and Mr. Alan Bishop. It's a conversation with people from distilleries and distillery adjacent that gets into deep and sometimes off the rails and back again discussions with their interviews. New episodes arrive at the end of the work week. And if that is not nerdy enough, check out the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute, which is where Alan Bishop answers any questions about distilling and often puts them to the test. It could be individual grains, mash bills, equipment, and methodology. New episodes come out randomly, so subscribe to that. And it does appear that it's getting a little bit of a, I don't know if I'd call it a revamp, but there's some new life being pushed in there with Alan's new gig, which is pretty cool. Then we have the Bourbon Turntable, where they mix the love of music with the love of whiskey. They have conversations with musicians, writers, distillery folks, and common folks like us about music and whiskey. It releases every Wednesday on all your platforms, including YouTube. Upcoming shows: Chris Tapp from the Cold Stairs returns tomorrow, Wednesday. Get it right. And then coming after that is the return of Parker Barrow, which is a really, really good group. And as Kevin said, he would adopt them both if he could, both meaning the lead singer and the drummer, who is a married couple. And then at the end of the month, Hell Hath Frozen Over. And then there is If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything, which is a show about the spirits and paranormal among us, as well as the unexplained and the spiritual. Subscribe on Spotify to get all 3 seasons and the 4th season, which is in progress. And finally, last but not least, the Whiskey in My Ring podcast, where David Levine talks to people from the unknown to the known. David gets into the weeds with his guests. David writes down his reviews. David publishes his written reviews and does a really good job of it. So please give David a listen as well.
Excellent. That is awesome. So tonight we are looking at drink this, not that. So probably some more well-known spirits and maybe some things maybe you could drink instead of them, things you could try, some maybe options out there in the real world. So I don't know. Let's jump into that, Mike. I don't know if we get done a couple of minutes early. I'm okay with that tonight.
I think it's completely and totally fine. Actually, what are you drinking tonight?
To be honest with you, I am finishing off a V8 Energy Blueberry Pomegranate. Right. I found them because, to be honest, I don't want to plug them or anything unnecessarily, but compared to other energy drinks, it's really just tea, and the other half is fruit and vegetables that come. So I'm like, it gives me a kick with no gut rot or any other BS afterwards that happens from most things like that. So I don't know. I'm enjoying them much better than other stuff, and it's a nice bump instead of being like pushed over the edge. Like some people will jump on Starbucks and came back with that, or Scooters or whoever. You might as well just give someone a line of crack and just tell them to go. Freaking 20 minutes later, what's wrong? Oh, everything's fine.
Got the shakes. I'm all hopped up on Mountain Dew.
Yeah, pretty.
Grandpa shipped war medals off the bridge. I've got a very large pour of water, but I do have a whiskey, which will come up on my list.
That is excellent, because I'm going to be switching over to that, but I'm just finishing a little bit in here to get me going through this,
to liven things up.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to be falling asleep while it's going on. So
yeah, there you go. All right. Well, I guess here's my question. Should we start with what I have put down? It's really hard to I don't want to sound like at least anything I'm saying is we're 7 minutes in shitting on Buffalo Trace, because that's not my intent by any means, but that's the big one that everybody tries to find. So it's a bit of an issue.
Well, on the list here, it's not all of mine, but I'm going to say there are several from them, because that falls into what they themselves present as allocated.
Correct.
So
Different some of them are allocated in some states. Other states it seems to be abundant. But either way, overall, I think you could probably agree that they comprise a fair portion of the allocated list.
Yes, and or sought after. How about that? Those things like that, things that people are like, oh, I want to try that. Well, if you're trying this, why don't you try a couple of these other things as well too? So that's all. All right. Yeah, you had sound like you might have more standards than I did with it.
Well, I guess in that respect, I do have standards.
But I do have several here that we looked at, and then there was a few other ones where I thought maybe there could be some very easy possible different answers. I know you were mentioning wheat whiskeys, where you kind of grouped a large bracket of that into.
I put a lot of them in wheat because there are several, although there are different mash bills that maybe or maybe not accurate. But of the wheated ones, of which there are several.
Okay. Well, and on that one, I just was thinking of just a Weller, and one that I would obviously slide in its place quite easily, or want to show people in its place, would be the Old Monroe wheat whiskey, 100% wheat whiskey. Mm-hmm. I think that would be one that if you were looking at wheats, could easily slide into that bracket without an issue. I want to say similar profiles. It's obviously, I think, much bolder and grainier, but I think you get more out of it. And if you hold on a second, I'll be right back. I'm going to move the light from where it is, because it seems like I'm going into a dungeon. So give me 1 second.
He's going through the Wisconsin darkness. So mine, instead of, as far as the wheated went, because taste is subjective, which is not a cop-out. Taste, it is subjective. What Weller tastes like to me may not be what it tastes like to you, which is why I put all the wheated allocated together as alternatives, because within this, the things that I would say would have alternatives for, I'll call it a lower or standard proof, and then some of the cast strength stuff. So that's how I put mine.
I have to go downstairs to the dungeon. There was rumors of it as one of the doors in the background of one of the other shows.
Yeah. The old gimp. So I'll just tell you. So I'll tell you what my weeded allocated, or what I would do for a weeded whiskey in replacement of an allocated whiskey, and there's different variations on there. This honestly was the hardest one I thought to come up with stuff, at least for me, because that's why I was like, I can't do direct comparison. Do this instead of Weller, do this whatever. But dry fly wheat. Dry fly wheat, and if you want wheat and you want an absolutely beautiful whiskey, and if you can get one at cast strength that'll knock your socks off, dry fly 100%. ASW Fiddler, the Georgia Heartwood, that is a wheated mash bill, and as we have experienced, those are really, really good. And I got one, not a wheated one, but one along that line that's going to come up later in the list. But that ASW Fiddler, the Georgia Fiddler, and the Georgia Heartwood, those are all or almost all of them are wheated mash bills, and excellent. And might have to buy it online, but that beats not being able to get it in your state. So wilderness trail wheated, and there are also wheated single barrels of that if you want to go into the higher proof of that. Really good alternative. And I know I was told wilderness trail is no longer considered craft just because of the sheer volume that they're doing, and so maybe I'll throw an asterisk on there, but until I have all the facts, otherwise I'm still calling that craft. Middle West wheated whiskey.
Yes, that was one that was on mine as well too.
I have regularly given that to people who like Weller and Buffalo Trace, and they want to go. That's what they want to go after. It's like, you should try this. Because it's really, really good. And I haven't had anyone say that they didn't like it at all. Another one, which most people are going to have to get it online unless you're in the area for wheated whiskey, William Dalton from Spirits of French Lick. That was another good option of just a really good, solid wheat, and it's not trying to be cast strength. I would like to try that at cast strength because I'm sure it's probably really good. Another one, the Ben Holiday soft red wheat.
I had that one as one that I think people would seem to fall into. That actually falls into the bourbon falls into a different category for bourbon as well too, just because it has
and the Rick House proof of that. It's the ones that I have had are really, really good. And so if you were looking for a higher proof wheated whiskey, I would 100% go for that. Although I don't know, man, the way Ben Holiday's producing stuff, I don't know if they're going to be considered craft either, because man, just where their distribution is, I mean, they had to lay down a ton of whiskey and have continued to lay down a ton of it. Cause man, it is all over, and good on them for that. Another one, which we'll never, ever forget this for a wheated whiskey, the Lone Elm. Both the standard release and single barrel. You want to go bold and a mouthful of flavor, you're going to get the mouthful of flavor with both. But man, that Lone Elm, the single barrels that I've had, all fantastic. Lone Elm's got at least a decent reach. I mean, for God's sakes, you can get it in Wisconsin. I can't get it. I think it jumps right over in Missouri. But if you can find it, oh my God. You like wheat whiskey, that'll knock your socks off.
They were my first craft wheat that that turned everything and was like, this is wheat, holy shit.
Yeah.
What are other people doing wrong?
and honestly, one other one for wheat whiskey, the Glens Creek Sweet, and which all their naming is like other stuff. It's great, but the sweet, because it is S' wheat. The sweet, the normal release of it is pretty darn good wheat whiskey. Yes, you're going to have to go to that area, darn it, and go to the distillery and go buy it. But also, if you were able to get one of the higher proof hand filtered of the Sahwit, they are phenomenal. I had a couple of friends that were, I'll call them BTEC and Age Horse, and I gave them both the normal release of Sweet, which is no slouch. I think it's 50 or 50.5 or something. It's not low. And then a barrel proof of it. And then one of them went immediately online and ordered a barrel proof for me to pick up next time I went to Kentucky. They were both sold on it 100%. They couldn't believe that came from that. So that's my long craft wheat, except for another one, which I have. And it's only because I haven't had it, but I'm sure it's good. It's Starlight Wheat.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, you covered 3 or 4 of them that I had on my list. So mine is kind of vaguely.
And I can't verify that Starlight makes a wheat, but I also would not bet money against the fact that they don't. But I'll bet you, with the power of the internet, I could verify that.
I think it's plausible. All right, so I'm gonna go with let's go with some other big ones that are hiding out there. I don't know if you went all by category like that, or you condensed wheat. Okay, where you condensed the wheat, but let's go. I'm gonna go with the standard one, Buffalo Trace. Right, that's all over the place. Allocated some places you have 3 shelves of it, and then astute standees in the place. So that's a crapshoot what it is, but it is kind of I want to call it like an American standard as far as what a lot of people will think of as an American bourbon if they were bringing it or coming to America. That hits. There's a couple other ones too that are more traditional as well too. With I might lean 4 Roses, but I think that's what a lot of people would think. So Buffalo Trace, I thought a good replacement for that people would like would we talked about the Ben Holiday. I thought the Bottled and Bond one, I thought that might, but more so Old Hell Roaring by Crooked Waters.
Oh, that's a good one.
I think the profile of Blanton's, I think you get that extra little, I think it stays kind of along it, but you have so much more boldness and dense and more flavors coming out of the Old Hell Roaring. I think that it plays to what you were getting out of Blanton's, but amplifies it, and it doesn't really leave that, that pitcher's mitt of flavors. Like it has some other unique stuff, and it's really, really good. But I think as far as what those people would chase, I think that flavor profile would hit really well with it. Another one, Yellowstone. I think if you're doing blends, I think with that would be good. And also the Golden Beaver. I was going to say, oh God, where was it? I had a slew of them out. I did a little bit of a tasting before. But the rice one, I think it's unique, and it has a torque on the grain, but it's light and it's very friendly and approachable. Like it has a different spin on it, but it is, as far as a Blanton, is an approachable entering kind of whiskey where it's a little bit lighter than Buffalo Trace. I think that one kind of works with that a little bit better. Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, I have Golden Beaver on my list. But
I switched in between. Sorry, Shannon. I went Buffalo Trace was Old Hell Roaring and Ben Holiday, and then Blanton's I kind of slid more into like a Yellowstone. Sorry.
Yeah. So my thing with Golden Beaver, because in mine I was trying to find would be comparable, and someone says they like wheated whiskey. I have Golden Beaver by itself with a big asterisk, because I think Golden Beaver is one of those. Someone's like, "Oh, I like wheat whiskey." Okay, give them that the rice whiskey. They say they like Weller. Or, I like Buffalo Trace. They're easy to drink. Okay, try this, but don't tell them what it is. It's not weeded whiskey. So to me, I kept it out of there, but I have a big asterisk where I would throw that in there in a blind with people all day long. And I think you'd get a lot of people who are extremely surprised at what they get.
Yeah. And I can see where you were putting it, almost more so, but I just thought it was so friendly and approachable and unique that it might keep pulling you back to be like, okay, this is interesting. Okay, there was another one like that for a blandness too. Whiskey Row, the original one, not the cast strength, was a little bit lighter, more towards the blandness than I would say the Buffalo Trace, because it wasn't as spicy. But I could see that over there. Hold on, I'm getting a plane. Apparently there's the Jets. It's the convention down south.
I froze up a second, I guess.
I did too. I can't even put my mic on mute, so too bad.
That's all right.
It's already gone. It's over my head already.
Amish internet.
It's all over the place now, damn it.
They're going everywhere.
They are.
They're spreading.
All right. Did you have anything different for those two? I'm assuming maybe you may have
so for Blanton's, because here's the thing. Okay. We all know, I mean, Blanton's has a great bottle shape. Okay. It's got good dates on it, right? People want to go, they want to have something with a specific date. But it's also the horsey. I mean, there's the collectability of it. Okay, fine. But I think for comparison with Blanton's, you also have, what's the big thing? People are looking for dates. I'm looking for one from this date. I want to try to find one from this date. Okay, so you'd want to find something that's dated. And for a Blanton's, could you find, because Blanton's is, they're all single barrel, right? It's all single barrel, but yes, it's proof down. But if you got something higher proof, you could always proof it down yourself. Whiskey Thief was one I thought you could go and find something that's unique. Oh, you like it? Everybody goes and buys a bottle. Now, the price of that bottle, what is that? It's going to be one higher proof than the Blanton's you're going to get, unless you're comparing it to Blanton straight from the barrel, but you're going to bottle it on a certain day. It's going to have that date on it. It's going to have the information on there because they handwrite all that information, on the label. You can always stick your own fancy funny sticker on there if you want to. Another one I thought, and this is by no way am I giving any endorsement, but like Apple, you're looking for like a single barrel pick that has like a certain flavor and you're like, oh, I really like this one, I want to go get more. And what's the chances that somebody has a single barrel with a fancy looking topper of it? That is Starlight. That's going to be another, you're going to be able to find a barrel pick of Starlight that someone's blinged up, etc. Nothing against Starlight by any means. But honestly, another one, and largely, which I told you before the show, I largely kept out MGP from my list, except in the case for people who are non-distilling producers who don't hide where it comes from and who are doing something different with it, like blending and creating a different batch number. So you got a certain batch number, you got a certain release, etc. And one of the big ones that came up with that was here in the great state of Missouri, over near Bourbon, Missouri, is people at Barrel King, because they are doing. Essentially, they'll do single barrels and they'll do blended stuff, and they're doing really, really well with it. So that'd be another good alternative for it.
I like that. All right, I'll let you pick the next path with where we're headed, because I do have some more on my list.
You know what? Like straight, like Sazerac rye. That was another, because you're not gonna be able to buy Sazerac rye. But a couple of alternatives, because it's going to be higher proof. It's going to have some guts to it. Age is not a number. It's just figment of your imagination. But a couple of options. Tattersall single barrel rye.
Okay.
Dad's Hat Pennsylvania rye cast strength. That will slap you in the mouth. It'll slap your family. It'll slap your boss when you go to work. You want to get slapped around with some proof and flavor? Dad's Hat Pennsylvania Rye, not endorsed, or not sponsored. Sagamore Cast Strength Rye, also.
That is a good one. I haven't had it in a while though, but yes.
That'd be another one is comparable. Also, if you could possibly find an MB Roland single barrel rye, at least it's not gonna be a proof slap. It's gonna be a lot of flavor.
All right. I went with the J. Rieger rye.
See, look at that right there. She's been there.
Mm-hmm. But I went with the Rieger rye because of, like you said, it's a little more dense and has a lot of flavor to it. Going against that, the other one I went with was a J. Carver Runestone rye. Hadn't had it in a while. I went back and tasted it when I was doing this, and for what was in there, especially just out of a straight rye whiskey, it had a decent punch to it. And I liked the grain flavor that it had, but it was I think it fit well in that pairing and would stand up in a cocktail. When you say Sazerac, you automatically think Sazerac cocktail. So is it going to stand up in the cocktail? Yeah. What it is, I think yes to both of those. I think the flavor stands in and doesn't go. I agree with some of the other ones you had in there. So yes, I agree with that. I like that one with the Sazerac. That was nice. Did you? All right, I'm just gonna go. Did you do Elijah Craig barrel proof?
You want your favorite one? You bet.
I felt like I had to. I didn't think I could leave that one off.
You go ahead, because I want to hear you say something other than it sucks.
I did, fuckers. Everyone's interpretation of one evening. I just said there was too many reviews of it. That's all I said. There's too many reviews of it and many other.
I seem to recall you saying more than that to Lisa Wicker, who just started working there.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't think I said it was bad. I actually said it was good and one of the best, most reasonably priced bourbons that was on the market.
Okay.
All right. But with that one, I actually went with one of the J. Henrys, one of the older ones, just a standard release. If you could get an anniversary one, I think that might be a little more applicable with what happens, but also with a couple of the anniversary ones, they get a little more berry note. They had one that was a little more wood. I'd say the one that was a little more wood, I think it was 19, would be more accurate, but just their standard release has a little bit more of that. So I thought that would be okay. And I think if you did like that too, I also think you would like the Lee Sinclair at Spirits of French Lick. I think that going to be a little creamier with the Lee Sinclair, but I think you can bridge that gap between it. It's bold, big flavors that hold on, a lot of good cherry. I don't want to say cherry notes, but like caramel, dense notes going through both of them. So, and I didn't want to double up on some whiskey, so some of them may have got used in other places as well too. So, there's one or two I may have slipped in there that had to find a different home because it might have matched better. But that's where I went with Elijah Craig Barrel Proof.
Okay, that was a good place. So mine, and these are based on experiences that I have had with Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, being that I know it's batched, but these were batched, might have been a single barrel, but these were picks that were done by other people in all these cases, which are reasons that I could bring this up, and I feel justified in my decisions. I have had Wilderness Trail cast strength picks that I would put up against an Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, a Driftless Glen bourbon pick that was done that I would put that. It was actually done by Mash and Journey.
Sure. Yeah.
I would pick that up. I would put that up against Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, as I'm sure they would have too. It was a damn good bourbon. It was so good. Also, the aforementioned ASW Fiddler at Cast Strength. I would gladly put that up against Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. And then also because I've gotten to try a couple of these now, and I have one of them, an Iron Root single barrel.
Oh,
and wow. the one that I picked up is a Harbinger, and I messaged Jonathan because there's nothing on there saying what was what. I said, which one was this? And it was Harbinger single barrel, but it was totally not the Harbinger mash bill. It's delicious. Morgan, that bluegrass toasted. I have bluegrass on my list of stuff, but I couldn't find anything that was like more direct with that. And the one thing I wish that we could have put on this list, if we could buy, is that the Cast Strength Blue Corn, because that that rocked all of our worlds. I mean, I thought Kevin was going to commit a crime because he was trying really, really hard to figure out how to get that bottle out of there. Those are mine for Elijah Craig Barrel Proof.
I always like when Kevin's trying to work some deal with the people working. Some people care, some people don't.
Yeah. Oh, if I recall, and Morgan could correct because she was there. If his wallet wasn't in his hand was on his wallet in his pocket. and he was talking to this kid. It's like, what do I have to do? Which way do you have to look in order? The kid's like, I can't do it. Like,
get your superior.
We could just take it. Yeah.
The wallet was out.
The wallet was out. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I got a different one on here, and like I said, I only did one or two with this old Fitzgerald, but I went with one of the later, they have a special release every year, whatever. I don't care what year it is, kind of that one. You know what I mean? Like, is it 7, 9, 13, 11 changes?
Right.
But whatever that one is, from the flavor profiles, I went with the Peerless Double Oak. I thought that if you like the old Fitz, I thought that type of, I like the oak notes that came through on it, obviously, and I thought that played back to the Fitzgerald's. For me, Fitzgerald is more of a rich kind of mahogany wood. The one I had, which is in my top 5 whiskeys ever, was an old 13-year-old one, and it was fucking phenomenal. It was like everything. If you thought classic bourbon, what it should, like high-end bourbon, what it should be, was all of it.
Yeah.
I feel like I was sitting down in like a solarium or a library with people, having a drink. It would, just shot me back into a certain area, and trying to find something along that lines. I think that it was one that I had that I thought followed through. It would be keep people's attention the same way. I'm not saying it's as quality as like the top 5 I've ever had. If I was doing that, their Sassafras barrel was the one that got me. Peerless. That one, I would have fought someone over a barrel of that. That was. Sorry, I'm having a moment. Like, I almost had a tear from that one. That was good. That was good. I did it. Peerless didn't. I didn't have it. I didn't say it out loud. I don't think Peerless was on my list of possible. That Peerless single barrel was on my list for possible Blanton's replacements. But I had an asterisk by it because to get some of those Peerless single barrels, you're going to go one place to go get it. So, because you're not going to get it from the single barrel pick at Costco. It's not. You're not going to get the same thing out of it. No. So that was what I had for Old Fitzgerald. That pop up for you at all, or did you skip that one?
I lumped Old Fitz in with the weeded.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Just because they were so between the Weller's Buffalo Trace, Old Fitz, and yeah.
Outside curveball, since it's all the rage right now, Crown has their whatever special flavor it is of the year that hits. This year it's blackberry. So in lieu of that, MB Rollins Blackberry Shine, or just go to
That's really
Wollersheim
good.
and get some blackberry brandy. It's
That's
not
true.
bourbon, it's not a whiskey, but I think those two would fit exactly what you're doing with it, and you would be extremely happy.
Yeah. I didn't have that on my list, but that's a good one. But as soon as you said Crown and flavors, honestly, again, not sponsored and not an endorsement. But if you're looking for whiskey that has been finished or flavors and other stuff, I gotta say freaking Starlight because there seems like whatever they're finishing on is endless, and
Oh God.
and I've had a couple picks from them that I had that I mean they were really good picks, but and I think Starlight's where Gaffigan's whiskey is coming from.
I was just saying that we were talking that I don't know if I've had a not finished Starlight whiskey.
I have. They were barrel picks. Yeah.
I'm just saying I don't know.
Yeah, because all the other ones you see, it's like, all right, got this. Bart didn't know you can finish in that. They've got it's like an endless supply. But I haven't been there. I would like to go there, but again, you're there with a winery. Of course, you can finish in a lot of stuff, but it also their single barrel program must be pretty damn good. Because like, what do you want to finish it in? We got one of those. So anyway, but good on them for that. Oh, here's one along with the Crown thing because I had a category for this Midwinter Night's Dram.
Yeah, I want to know what you did with that because I didn't, but I'm intrigued to see where you go.
Well, because I mean, you got to go for something with it's got to be the wine finish. I mean, it's got to be something in there. But the Starlight again, it's like you can't tell me that someone hasn't done a barrel pick that tastes like it. I'd be really surprised if you said otherwise. Sagamore had a port finish that it had a little sample. It's like that was I'll say delicious. And also I have not had, but I understand. I think the Ewalds have had it, and Morgan might have had it when they ran through there. Cedar Ridge cast strength wine finished.
Oh yeah, that was
yeah.
There's
one I know that what's his name? ABB Barrel Shop carries one, but I would wager that it's really good because the normal Cedar Ridge port finish is really good. It's a well done port finish, and I can only imagine what that would be like at a higher proof.
Okay, and it's been a while since I've had Millet, and I don't think it's gonna. What about Rua port?
Except it's single malt.
I know, but I was trying to go with flavor wise, where you were going. And
I mean, I could see. Yeah,
it's not quite
I mean,
there.
If you were,
it's not quite there. It's off a bit, but
all the things like I've got a grouping of single malts that on my list just says if you want flavor. And I can say it. Ones that are on there, Balcones, Virginia Distilling,
yep,
Talnua, Del Bach.
That's on mine.
So yeah,
you doing that? I'm gonna jump to one other side. If smoky scotches, if you fell into that, I was like ASW. We've talked Tire Fire, a couple other ones.
I mean, that
hits in there. Cole Keegan, Del Bach on that one. They have ones that both fit in there. MB Rollins Dark Fired. If you like smoky whiskey or smoky scotch.
Can you imagine if they did that and port finished it?
Yeah, well, and lightly too, not like bury it, just like hint up through the back, like port, just kind of fingering up. I don't know, just getting up through the back side of it is crazy. I mean,
yeah.
No,
that was pretty good. What was the one that came out recently? And I should have looked it up, but it was the Bang Dog. Yeah.
This is the Bang Dog is what that one was. That was good. But I would say like those were ones that I was like, if you wanted something like that, I think they would fit into that category and still be very good. Where you put like, then I had like Virginia, more of like if you like the lighter scotches without the smoke in them, I think Virginia would fall in love with people. Peated though, Northern Waters peated. I think I would put that one in there with this whole Scotch selection.
After hearing you guys all talk about that, I regret that I did not get that.
That would be one I would slide in that realm for sure.
Mm-hmm.
To get in, obviously it's peated, but I mean it was done so nuanced that it was great. Getting out of there, I had one Eagle Rare. I went, if you liked Eagle Rare, I said maybe try Old 55 Sweet Corn or Eagle Rare 14 if you want to go price wise, where you feel better about how much you're spending comparatively on that one. I think that would be like, it's not like Buffalo Trace for me. Like it's much sweeter, friendlier than Buffalo Trace. Has got a little more baking spice to it.
Yes.
So I think that sweet corn would be follow the palates of what people like in Eagle Rare, would be a little bit different. And like I said, if you got to bump up to the higher range because the sweet corn is typically fairly expensive, but that's because it's sweet corn.
Yeah. I had Old 55 on my list as the Old 55 single, or the bottled and bond as a replacement for like Eagle Rare, just because it has a lot of that flavors and had the spice in the caramel and stuff. Also, I had the bluegrass toasted.
I like that.
Yeah, which yeah, and also because one, price point, and you're going to get a higher proof. It's only just not that much more. The Chattanooga 111, because of that maltiness and that thicker mouthfeel and stuff. And I thought with that compared to the Eagle Rare,
I like that. I got a couple more.
And the Deerhammer Bourbon was the other one.
Oh, I was gonna say they were on here. I had them in one other spot with the bourbon. Yes, that's accurate. Let's see here.
I've got Old Forester Birthday Bourbon too.
Okay, I don't have that. What'd you pick for that?
What one when you're gonna do?
I was gonna do Stag, but I thought I'd hold off on that if you're doing Old.
Oh, go for it.
Stag.
Daddy Stag or Junior?
Daddy Stag.
Okay.
Because of the shake factor, if you would. I went Woodhat's Bloody Butcher.
Oh.
With the higher proof, 62, 65% ones. I think because of the bold profile you get out of Stag Senior, right? Like if you were going to pick between that and Pappy's in general, I'd rather go Stag. But that's because I think it's got bolder flavors, might be the best way to put that between the two of them. So on that one, that's why I went with that. And otherwise, because I have, like I said, I didn't want to double down. So there's another one for Pappy as well too. But to be honest, I'm gonna bring this over here. The other one was just on the Pappy list because I had a list, some of them that I was just spiteful and you should have instead of Pappy, and then one that actually like compared to it well. But for this, I'm gonna go. You know what? I would put Iron Root Cigar Blend up against all the Stag horrors out there, and see what happens. I feel confident in my decision.
I think that would do well. It would do well in a blind. The thing with Stag is what for George T. Stag, yes. What people are looking for is the flavor that goes with the proof and the proof that goes with the flavor. I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, honestly, the what was the hazmat? Was it the?
It's like 72 or 70.
The
Hubris hazmat.
It was the Hubris hazmat, right? Yeah, it was the Hubris hazmat. Oh, I would have thrown that down against any of the Stag releases whatsoever because it was just such a beautiful drink. And you're like, oh, this isn't much. That was absolutely 100% stellar. But so my thing with the Stag was now I have not had a pour of current George T. Stag, and I say current, I'll say within the last 6-7 years. Okay. So I know it goes up and down. Different ones, people like them better than the others. There's a couple of years, like the year that Stag Junior Batch 12 came out. I know it was better than George T. Stag. I do have that Stag Junior, and that was a delicious cherry bomb. Absolutely delicious. But it seems like this is me being me. What a lot of people are looking for in a new Stag release is they want something woody and in your face and overpriced. So,
oh man. Okay. It's not.
You know what I'm gonna. You know what I'm gonna. You know what I'm gonna say, don't you?
You're not wrong.
You know what I'm gonna say, don't you?
Yeah, I do. No, you're not wrong.
Okay. Yeah. So I would say go find your bottle of Garrison Brothers, if that's what you're after. Now, but on a slightly more serious note, I would honestly say I have got I have tried Wood Hat Cast Strength Bloody Butcher, and oh shit, yeah, I would put that up against some for what if you put it in a blind, someone like, wow, there's something's a little off here. There's a little more caramel and cherry on this one. Oh, this Stag must be. I think I really firmly believe you would fool some people with that.
Gary's one of the few people that can do Bloody Butcher more than like 10 or 5% in something and have it turn out okay. It's very rarefied that I've seen a 100%
Gary knows his
Bloody
corn.
Butcher corn.
Yeah,
was
Gary, he knows it. He knows his corn. The other thing is I've got an ASW Fiddler Bloody Butcher hazmat, and it has like first sip of it was like, where do I know this sensation from? And it reminded me of that just bold, because that flavor coming off of there. And if you wanted it to be woody, because you want to get that older, that heavy oakiness from there. You add just one ice cube or several drops of water to it to try to knock that proof down. Man, does the wood ever come out with it. It is it's really good. It's very drinkable at 71.5% because I'm staring at it right now. And you don't forget that you drank it. If someone's buying Stag, they're also buying Stag because they like the Stag, they like the name, they like the look of the bottle. But I think for a lot of these, if you were to give something to somebody blind, you could definitely get some converts. But if you're going to spend the money on Stag, you want Stag, and you will accept no substitutes.
That is true.
So
you're very particular. All right. What other ones do you have? I'm running down to just my
Old Forester Birthday is the next one that I had.
What did you do for that one? Because I didn't do that one, unfortunately.
So
I felt like picking Old Forester would be kind of a shitty response.
Yeah, the last birthday bourbon that I have, which I got 2019. The last one I was able to buy a full bottle for myself was 2014 because I don't see it, and I'm not going to pay stupid price for it. But with Old Forester Birthday, it's about the flavor and it is the flavor overall and the finish. It's not about the proof. It's not necessarily about the age, which I know some people they want the age, but for options with that, as I talked about earlier, that Harbinger single barrel or any Harbinger single barrel, actually, there's a reason they were chosen. The Iron Root doesn't make light whiskeys. All their whiskeys have a lot of flavor and they pack a good punch. But a single barrel of that, which is going to be higher proof, which is what someone does expect for birthday bourbon, they do expect to have a lot of flavor to it, and something that doesn't taste like, not to knock them, Elijah Craig barrel proof. They want a different experience with that birthday bourbon. You're going to get that with the single barrel. Another one is, and I don't remember which one it was, but it was a cast strength J. Henry that we tried, and all I remember was it was just flavor for days.
Oh,
and it was
that the Newport one?
I don't have it because I don't have a bottle or anything. I know it's the one that's not out.
Okay.
So whichever the one is that, yeah. Anyway, That one also, honestly, because you want to get layered flavor and you want to get that proof on there and you want to have that finish that will last. And you're like, wow, what is that on that finish? Single barrels of Lee Sinclair. I mean, they're approaching 120, like 117, so they're not super high. Also Peerless Picks. That was one that you're going to get. You're going to get something that's just as unique. And quite honestly, one of the other ones is the OCD 5 cast strength. Yeah.
That would be one that I like. Yes, could have been over on the birthday bourbon. I see that there, but that could have been one that would have been in versus Stag as well. But I have that on my Pappy list, whereas I thought there was a Golden Beaver release that if you liked Pappy, I think once again, kind of along the lines of Blanton's, it's lighter, it's friendly, has some punch. Older ones can be much more oaked and other things, but the most people try 15 or less when they're actually getting a chance to try it. The 23 is usually pretty elusive for most people. So I thought that would be a good one. But how I really felt about this is stuff that you shouldn't be chasing that. I had the OCD number 5 premium. Mm-hmm. If you were going to try something, try that. Outstanding. This is where I had iron root before, but I think the full-bodied flavor of it more so made it comparable to the Stag with the cigar blend. But either way, for this year, that one's great. Or just Hubert, the world winners from them. And the one I wrote down first would be the 3-chamber rye from Todd Leopold. If you're going to search something rare and different and unique and has some type of meaning, there you go.
Yeah, but they won't get it. That's the thing. That's the 3-chamber rye. They won't.
I'm stuffing it down their throat.
Oh, I know. I'm with you on it.
That's the only one. There's 2 of them here. I'm like, I don't care what would be great. This is what you should have instead. Yes. And there's plenty of other ones that go along that list as well too.
I get some
for something memorable that's gonna mark a date. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got ones on my list that I couldn't categorize as a direct. I was trying to figure out a way to put them in there, and I thought, no, these would just be ones you'd say, I want you to blindly try this. Okay, great. You're going after these things and you like this. I want you to try these. And most of these that I have on this side list are more accessible and not necessarily single barrels. And I had Black Button bourbon. The ones I've had from Black Button are just super great. Still Austin Musician cast strength. Yeah. Let's see. Driftless Glen Rye single barrels. Let's see, Whiskey Thief, the Leopold, which I had earlier on, the Leopold 8-year finished in the 3-chamber rye.
Ah, nice.
Sweet baby James. It's an amazing amount of flavor on there. But I think you just do that in a blind with somebody. That's amazing. Then the Golden Beavers, that would be one to sneak in on there, people. Woodinville cast strength, the New Holland Origin. Of course, people that would be that I should have put that as a replacement for Blanton's because the bottle for that, it's a pretty sweet looking bottle. It's a pretty sweet bottle. It's the old 55 single barrels. Those have been really good. Leaper's Fork, MB Roland. I mean their stuff is really good, and especially if you did the problem is you couldn't put the dark fired cast strength up against a lot of the Alec because people are, what? What's this? But I think everyone should try it. Tom's Foolery, that was another good one. Bluegrass, I talked about them. Chattanooga, Frey Ranch. And Deerhammer, which talked about them. Another one, which I said, earlier, I tried not to do MGP stuff except for people that were transparent or trying to do something with the flavor. Buzzard's Roost, especially if he has more of the cast strength stuff coming out, because he knows how to pick, he knows how to blend, and what they're doing with barrels is going to be something totally different then if he ever comes out with a weeded one, I think it's good. Can you imagine that a weeded Buzzard's Roost at cast strength, and then whatever he chooses to finish it with?
What do you do with this?
It's going to be fantastic. And my other last thing to say is you can always find an MGP barrel pick from anybody, but preferably you want somebody who's not trying to hide it, or maybe they're blending to do something different because they are a small place. Like I said, I mentioned Barrel King. They're very nice people, but clearly very good blenders. Hey, you like some bling and you like some numbers on your stuff with batches, it'd be a good replacement for some of those that chase that.
That is. Excuse me. Sorry about that, everybody.
Oh, you're fine.
I was gonna say that there was a couple of them from Deerhammer when I was going through that I think I would have I meant to slide them into that malt category if you were looking at not.
Oh, I had Progeny down for like replacing Midwinter Dram and some, but
see, that's what I was gonna say. I'm like that was where I'm like,
but you can get Progeny one place.
Yeah. So, but maybe that might be changing with some of the other malts as they go forward, because they have had fairly good success with what they've been trying.
It's just they only make so much Progeny is the problem.
Yeah,
but Deerhammer, it's all over. I mean, I can get Deerhammer now, which is great.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, that's all I got from my list.
See, that wasn't too snarky.
No, that wasn't bad at all.
I mean, it's legitimate, and there's a lot of things that, quite honestly, I have. I really like this. Okay, well, you should maybe try this. Try this instead of that.
That's always good to dabble outside your comfort zone. That's how you find what you like.
But hey, honestly, if you think the $50 Blantons, if you think you're really comfortable and you have no problem that you'll spend $125 for it, that's your choice. That's your thing. And I totally get wanting to get one with specific dates. But if you want to get one with certain dates on there, you could go right now and go to Whiskey Thief, get one dated with today's date that it was filled.
Whiskey Thief was the other one that I would have put up against Stag, just because you can get one that. You could,
you probably could find. I mean, you'll have 12 choices if you go there.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I'm like they have
really 6 because you only get 6 in your tasting, so you got it.
But I mean, there's not an all, but I mean, there are ones from there that I've like easily hit that line of things and have the type of punch of proof to it when you're having it. Yeah. So they're definitely one I should have had on. Thought I did, but I don't know. Going back, I didn't have on there.
Yeah. Well, and aside from the fact that they're good and I really enjoy going there and getting stuff, and I've got a few, but Kevin had two weddings basically back to back, and in both times he went to Whiskey Thief that day, got a bottle dated that day for them to have, and then also other people had too to commemorate that day. So,
well, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
especially if they make it past the day.
Well, but again, it's like it's got today's date. I picked this for you. Here's this, and come and enjoy it. You can always put hot glue something on the top of
it. Maybe we'll have to see. We'll have to come up with a topper at some point. I don't know what, but I think that would be a great.
I got some ideas, but
I know you do.
Yeah.
All
well,
right.
now I have 2 ideas, but yeah.
You've narrowed it down to 2 ideas like that. Well, I was going to do this, but this is what we have time. All right. Well.
Okay. Well, now I got 3. I just glanced over. I saw Shannon's name, and I thought it reminded me of. Okay, now 4 with Shannon. 1, think truck nuts, but hanging off the top of the bottle. That's 1. And then obviously the most obvious one would be a corn cob.
I don't mind that.
Yeah.
Does it have to be a corn whiskey though? Obviously.
Oh, no. It's got whiskey. It's got corn in it, unless it's 100% wheat.
I don't know. I like corn. I don't feel it's right if it's not like an all cord whiskey to have the cob on top. We'll
Don't
argue
judge.
that afterwards.
Yeah.
We'll argue this afterwards. But I want to thank everyone for stopping in this week. Next week, you're gone, Mike.
I'm gone. I'm going to be at a baseball game.
At a baseball game. Have a good
Morgan said she'll join.
I hope so. I was going to say. Yeah. And we're going to do how to store your whiskey. Which
Morgan is much nicer and smarter than I am.
So we'll be doing that. And then who's on the 29th? I know someone's coming.
Whiskey Crusaders.
Whiskey Crusaders, Matt, and maybe other people. Sarah,
Matt, and maybe Will and Sarah. That would be cool if they all came. So, yeah. I got some samples. I'm going to send some Golden Beaver to them so they can have that. Okay. Not necessarily for that night, but so they can try it.
Oh, I was gonna. If we're
doing, I was telling Matt about it when I visited, and Matt was like, "Rice," and he was like, very intrigued. Like, I will get you.
Well, okay, we'll talk about that because I'll send them some things here I have as well too, because it's always good to have a few drinks with them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, like we were saying, thank you everyone for stopping in. We really appreciate it. We hope you have a good rest of the week, and we'll see you next week. Until then, remember, it's not the size of the den that matters. It's the love of whiskey. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.